In nearly 2 years of conflict, Sudan's educational system and infrastructure has been greatly affected. Millions of children seeking refuge in neighboring countries face a generational uncertainty. But right now, survival is the only thing that matters.
About half of the population is children under the age of 18. And we are talking about 5.8 million children who have been displaced in Sudan. And out of 5.8 million children who have been displaced, the latest UN figures suggest that we have about 17 million Sudanese children who are out of school right now. Children who are facing dire protection risks, children who are facing sexual and other gender-based violence risks as well, and children who require education. Recently, the Sudanese government had organized examinations for secondary school students within the country and also some of the neighboring countries as well, hosting Sudanese refugees. And what we learned from the Sudanese Teachers Association recently is that about 400,000 Sudanese students were not able to take their examinations for the secondary school examination.
With the conflict raging on, funding is now seen as one of the solutions to cushion Sudanese children from an educational crisis. Host countries are also under immense pressure.
And one of the biggest, I would say, victims in this is the area of education, because education sector is not really well funded. And as a consequence, I talked about 17 million children are out of school in Sudan right now. So we are calling upon organizations like Plan International, or asking the international community to provide more funding to organizations and the UN system so that we are able to do more to bring these children back to schools.
This year's International Day of Education theme is AI and Education, Preserving Human Agency in a World of Automation. With current global conflicts, Hussein, who has seen the destruction firsthand, says the theme can be redirected to improve the lives of the affected children to get quality uninterrupted education.
To be honest, it sounds a little misplaced to talk about artificial intelligence and education sector in a world currently where we are facing situations of dire crisis, whether it is the situation in Ukraine, whether it's the situation in Palestine, Gaza, whether it's the situation of the Sudan crisis, or many other multiple crises. We have multiple situations where we are running the risk of several lost generations. Whether I talked about Ukrainian children, whether it's the Palestinian children, whether it's the Sudanese children, or many other children affected by crisis in Asia or in Africa or other parts of Europe and Latin America, I think it's a high time that we talk about basic things. Children's education, children's access to safe education, children's protection in these crisis situations, and then also possibly talk about how we can leverage artificial intelligence in improving access of crisis-affected children to quality education.
According to UNESCO, Sudan is facing one of the world's worst educational crises. Many schools across the country have been converted into shelters, damaged or destroyed, complicating efforts to resume educational activities and secure a learning environment for students. Nick Mudimba, CGTN.